Words we have this morning from the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verses 1 to 9. Easter feast is an annual celebration when Christians gather together within the context of prayer and worship to celebrate, to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ from dead. But how did the resurrection happen? According to the account of John, which we read this morning, early on the first day of the week, that's a Sunday, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb of Jesus Christ. He wasn't going there to see if Jesus has risen. He had no resurrection on her mind. She went to the tomb because it was customary to do so within the mourning period. People who visit the tombs, the graves of their loved ones, to pray, to cry, to mourn, to grieve. Just as today, people will always visit the cemetery, visit the graves of their loved ones, just to stay there, light candles, place their flowers, pray also, or even to relax and chat with their loved ones who is buried there. So Mary Magdalene went to the tomb because of her relationship with Jesus Christ, to do what was customarily and religiously appropriate. But when he got there, he discovered that the stone was already taken away. And then the body was no longer there. So she went back to the apostles, precisely to Peter and John, reporting to them that someone else, perhaps, maybe the government or those who buried him, or someone else had taken the body of Jesus Christ away. For her, it was not about resurrection. So all of them ran back to where Jesus was buried. And then when they got there, they discovered indeed that the body was no longer there, that the tomb was empty. So when they got into the tomb, they discovered that things were well ordered. The clothes were well folded up and placed well. Then they remember that he told them that on the third day I will rise. So seeing the evidence, the empty tomb and everything there, they believed in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that is what we have come today to celebrate. That Jesus Christ on the third day rose from the dead. The doctrine of resurrection, which is the foundation of Christianity, is the belief that Jesus Christ rose physically on the third day after his crucifixion and burial, thereby defeating death and validating his divinity. However, today, let us not talk so much about resurrection as a doctrine. Let us move away from Easter as an annual celebration. Let us briefly look at the word resurrection to see from its original meaning and everyday meaning how the resurrection of Jesus Christ speaks to us, his followers. The word resurrection literally means to rise again. It is like a powerful comeback after a defeat or failure. It is like bouncing back, not necessarily to your original position or state, but perhaps to a new state, a new position. Because when Jesus Christ rose from the dead, he rose with a glorified body, which was far better and also different from the body that was crucified and buried. Resurrection, therefore, is rising up again after life has knocked you down. Resurrection is that dawn that breaks after the darkest night. Resurrection is God turning a dead end into a new beginning. Resurrection is when God brings out life from something we have considered or certified dead, lost, or hopeless. Resurrection happens when someone refuses to remain down and to be buried in the tomb of their misfortune, their disappointment, or their failure. Resurrection means it is not over. Because sometimes we knowingly or unknowingly live a life suggesting that the story is over, the journey is over, maybe because of what we have encountered or because of what we have suffered. And therefore we bury our strength, our determination, our courage, our fighting spirit. We bury them because of what has happened to us, and we give up. And we conclude that there is nothing else we can do because the story is over. That was exactly the mindset of Mary Magdalene when she went into the tomb. As I said, she wasn't going there expecting something miraculous. She went there because for her, having crucified him, having certified him dead and buried him, it's all over. So, but when she went to the tomb and saw it empty and witnessed the resurrection, that mindset was gone. She embraced a new mindset, the mindset of Easter, the psychology of Easter. I think, dear friends, we need to turn Easter from just being a remembrance of a historical event that happened over 2,000 years ago. We need to turn our Easter from something we celebrate into a psychology, a mindset of Christian daily living. Indeed, the psychology of Easter challenges us to come back, to bounce back. It challenges us to rise. To rise from what? To rise from our fears, our doubts, our prayerlessness, our lukewarmness of faith, our animosity, the hatred we have in our hearts. If resurrection means coming back, therefore it means also that resurrection could be for me coming back to my God, coming back to my faith, coming back to the church. Reviving also is another way to explain resurrection. And therefore, it could also mean reviving my relationship with God, such that my coming to the church will no longer be an annual event, either at Christmas or at Easter. The greatest truth of today is not that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. That's not the greatest truth. The greatest truth is that if Christ has risen, then it means that I have hope, that there is no aspect of my life that is beyond redemption. It means that I too can rise. Because the Bible says that the Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells mightily in us. The power of resurrection dwells in us. Just as Jesus rose, we too can rise. So there are so many ways to look at the feast of today, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We can either see it as a doctrine, which it is. We see it as an annual event, which it is, that once today is gone, we wait again till next Easter to remember Easter, to remember and talk about resurrection. Or we can also keep it as a doctrine which we believe in. We can also keep it as an annual event, but also see ourselves in the story of the resurrection, no longer as a theory we observe, no longer as an abstract story we tell ourselves, but something that will reflect us. So that the resurrection of Jesus Christ tells me, number one, about my own resurrection on the last day. That although they will bury me there in the cemetery or wherever they're going to bury me, I'm going to rise again because Jesus rose. And therefore, I, as his follower, I am bound to rise with my leader and my God. That is also a way to see ourselves in the story of the resurrection. We can also see ourselves in the story of the resurrection on our everyday Christian living. That is, resurrection of Jesus Christ encourages us, inspires us, challenges us to rise above our limitations, overcome our obstacles, break new records where we are. So when I say to you, dear friends, Happy Easter, It is far from wishing you, or more than wishing you, a mere happy celebration of the feast. I'm actually saying to you, you too can stage a comeback. You too can bounce back, because we have got a new mindset. We are not like Mary, prayer before her going to the tomb, just to see what happened. But after encountering the empty tomb, Mary went back with a different mindset. When the apostles came, Peter and John, when they got into the tomb, the Bible said they saw. What did they see? They saw the evidence that he has risen, and then they believed. Meaning, therefore, they also got a new mindset that we are not here to look for the body because we presume that someone took it away. We are no longer here to know if someone, the authority, had taken or messed up with the body that was buried here. No, we have come because the story has not ended. So, as far as this man is no longer in the tomb, the story continues. And that is the mindset of Easter. That is the mindset of resurrection. So that when we gather together every year to talk about resurrection, we are recharging our mindset. We are telling ourselves, Jesus rose not just as a ritual to be observed, not just as a theory to carry on, not just as a doctrine to believe in, but also to inspire his believers. Number one, that they will rise on the last day from their graves. Number two, that they can also rise from their daily struggles. So, I am challenging us. I want to inspire us. I want to encourage us. I don't know what you are going through in life. If it is about your faith, or you're struggling with some emotional situations, or about your job, or you have been robbed recently and you are broken, or it's about your relationship with God, you too can rise. That is the message, and it's very simple. It's about the psychology. When Bolt, the former world champion, 100 meter, 200 meter athlete, was asked, how do you make it that once you get into the track, you win? He said it's about psychology. It's about my mindset. That once I'm on the track, I say to myself, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat these guys. So let's have the mindset of Easter. Let's have the mindset of resurrection. Let us create in us, on everyday struggles, the psychology of Easter, which says, you too can rise. You too can bounce back. You too, indeed, can stage a comeback.